Happy Friday, everyone. Musical tip of the day. We're going to talk about the G Mixolydian mode or scale. Now, don't let the name scare you. It's really just the C major scale starting on G. So if you already know the C major scale, you know G Mixolydian. So here's the formula. The regular plain C major scale in the modes is called Ionian mode. And it's just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, back to C. They're the 8 notes. So it's really a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to the root. Now, when you're looking at G Mixolydian, instead of starting on C, you're starting on the G. And those intervals change. So what makes a G Mixolydian, it's a flat 7. So G would be home instead of C. So that would be your 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a flat 7, back to the 1. Now that flat 7 is what makes the scale the mode. And you can think about the flat 7 as just a whole step below the root. This would be your 1, then that's your 7, and then your F is your flat 7. So that flat 7 in G Mixolydian, the F note, is what makes it fit perfectly playing over a G dominant 7 chord. So that G Mixolydian will play over a dominant G7 chord. So that's the sound of the G7. Now I'll take a picture, I wrote it down, but I kind of think of G Mixolydian in 2 separate ways, which I've talked about before. But the first is like this caged position or a fingering. So if, C is your parent major scale, C major 7. I see G on the top there. And the scale I see as so that's how I see it. I also see it in a 3 note per string kind of formulation. That's actually good too because it opens up, 4 frets there. So it would be which is beautiful because it's the same fingering. And inside those, there's a couple ways to play a G7 chord. Here's one way. Here's another way. Here's one way. Here's another way. And here's another way. So they're your chord tones. A good way to get this scale under your fingers would be to just play a static G7 chord. Now I have a freeze pedal that I can hold the chord, or I have a looper too. So what I would do is, every one of those notes fits the chord. But a good way I like to practice it is in thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, and sevenths. Just sort of intervals. And I'll also write it out as well, and you can follow, but I'll show you a couple examples of what I'm talking about here. Here's a G7. So I start out in thirds. Now that works because there's chords and triads inside that scale. So a 1, 3 is a G, an A, C is an A minor, a B, D is part of the B diminished, a C, C and A, D minor, E minor. So that's the thirds. Also look at fourths. Fifths I kind of don't really touch because they're it's like chalkboard, black chalk on a chalkboard. But sixths are nice. Kind of run out of strings. And sevenths, of course. So give it a shot. It'll be fun.